Guys, I'm sorry. I don't want to do it. I don't. I'm apologizing before I even say it. We're fucking back. I think we're back. We're fucking back. Oh, man. That's a complete game right there. That's what Steeler football is supposed to look like. Defense, awesome, against a really good offense. Because that's the thing, going into this game with the Bengals and Flacco, they lit us up on that Thursday night game, but they stayed cooking for the games after that too. 30-plus points, back-to-back games, like almost 400 yards of total offense, I think, back-to-back games. And you see what we just did against them. We know what the main storyline is, though. We know when things started to really ramp up with this squad. I think defense was steady throughout the whole game. But when we started playing as a complete team, great complementary football, and the offense started to pick it up, we know what happened at halftime. We know what switch was made at the most important position. What's like the last, 4 or 5 games look like with Mason as the Steelers quarterback? Whenever he's in, what does our team look like? Pretty damn good. Pretty damn good, because he had those 4 games in 2023. Now we get a half of Mason in 2025. There might be something to it. There might be something to Mason Rudolph and the redemption story, and him being the quarterback for the black and gold, man. Like, there's the mojo. I don't know, the energy, the electricity. Like, I don't know if we could say it's a coincidence, man. And I don't think it is all just that, where we could say, oh, aura, energy, vibes, and all. I think Mason he flat out played good. Like, he was playing better than Rodgers. Hung in the pocket more. Felt a little bit more accurate. Offensive line. Here's the thing. I do think Mason's surroundings were a little bit better. I think the offensive line blocked for Mason better than they did Rodgers. Now, what do you chalk that up to? Maybe with Rodgers being out, the offensive line's like, okay, we really got to pick it up because we got the backup in. Let's try to really protect him because our back's up against the wall here with Rodgers being out. Like, we really got to be on our P's and Q's as opposed to us having the mindset of, it's Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? Like, we know that the offensive line is trying to protect Aaron Rodgers as best they can, right? We know that. But I do think it's a little different when he's not around anymore and he's not making some of the plays that even at age 41 that he was making, not only throughout the course of the season, but in this Cincy game. You saw him move around in the pocket and stuff and try to make things happen when the pocket was collapsing. But it's like, bro, I don't know. Just it looked better with Mason. Now, maybe you also chalk it up to Bengals don't have a game plan for Mason, right? A lot of times that does happen. Weird shit happens. We got to witness it against the Colts last year when Anthony Richardson went down and Flacco goes in. And it's like, oh, we were game planning for Anthony Richardson. Now Flacco's in. We got to make mid-game adjustments. And then you never really, like, get up to speed. You never really get to that point where you feel like you're prepared for that switch, that backup coming in. And it's, like, a little too late. So maybe you could say that happened. But, like, at the same time, like, I don't think our offense really changed that much. Really didn't. It's not like Mason's a Justin Fields type of quarterback where we're running read options and we got to change I think the offense was pretty much the same. We were still seeing bootlegs, play action, Mason dumping it off, doing screen passes, and then when we needed to on 3rd and long, you throw the ball down the field. I don't know, man. I don't know. I say we let Rodgers heal up. I say we take our time with Rodgers. You know, he's 41. The body don't recover like it used to. Wouldn't be opposed to giving Rodgers some extra time and healing up. I don't even know what it is. I saw separate reports where it's a wrist. It was his left wrist, his non-throwing wrist. But then I also saw from Jerry Dulac, it's actually his throwing elbow. I don't know. They kept announcing on the broadcast that it was his wrist, but I saw a tweet by Jerry Dulac that it was actually his throwing elbow. So I don't know. You guys let me know in the chat. But we played pretty damn good, man. That was a great football game by the Steelers. Really good. That's how it's supposed to look. I mean, the stadium was bumping too. It felt like Renegade got back. Fans were going crazy. I don't know, man. I guess that's the NFL. A lot can change in a week. Now we're 6-4, stock up more than ever. It feels like for the season, but that I don't know. I feel like some of that also would have to coincide with us giving Mason some more reps, giving Mason another game or two just to see what that vibe's like. This ain't a shot on Aaron Rodgers or anything, but we see what Mason does recently whenever he's given the minutes in a Steeler uniform. It might just be fate. It might just be destiny. The Mason Rudolph Steelers redemption arc. We know what the first half looked like, how he was always getting shit on, getting kicked in the nuts by the organization, the fan base. And then he saves Christmas 2023, becomes a fan favorite. Dude, the fans were cheering him at halftime when he's announced to go out there. He's walking out there. The fans are cheering. You would think it would be the opposite, right? You would think. Logically, Aaron Rodgers is out. One of the all-time best quarterbacks ever. Aaron Rodgers out. And we've been talking about Aaron Rodgers been playing good for the Steelers, right? He's been playing good. But then we get to see Mason. It's like, is the offense just better with Mason? Can Mason do a little bit more than Rodgers right now? Because some notes I had in the first half with our offense, I was like, man, Rodgers is kind of doing what he's been doing all year, making the most of some unfortunate shit. Because I didn't think the offensive line was blocking for Rodgers that well. And then run game, first half run game, I can't remember. I don't think it was that good. First, Jaylen Warren had a couple carries, then he gets hurt. But the receivers weren't getting open for Rodgers. It was like, I felt like same shit, different game with the receivers and them getting open. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if we can ask for much more with Rodgers right now. Like, I think he's playing all right. He's playing decent. His stat line going into half was something. What was it, like 9 of 14, 9 of 15 with a $115, $120 and a touchdown? I thought he was playing pretty decent. But those were my notes. I was like, yeah, receivers aren't really getting open. Offensive line isn't blocking for him. Omar Khan, the Steelers, did Rodgers a disservice at the trade deadline. Like, I typed all this shit up. Like, we really missed out. We needed another receiver. We got too many tight ends on the field. I'm seeing too much Jonnu Smith and Freiermuth and Darnell. We're not explosive enough. We really let Rodgers down. We don't have an extra playmaker or two that I feel like we really could utilize and we need in this offense that Aaron Rodgers could throw to and make the most of. But all those same pieces, all that same shit's there. Second half, it's just we make the quarterback switch, Mason Rudolph. It's almost like 2023, right? I mean, it's a little bit different when you're talking about Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, and the offense, and then putting Mason in, and the offense looks better with Mason versus Aaron Rodgers and taking Aaron Rodgers out, and it looks better with Mason Rudolph. But it's kind of like the same thing. You know what I mean? It's the same effect of the starter, the guys that we've been trying hasn't been working. All right, let's throw Mason out there. Oh, it's better with Mason. So I think it's a much more weird dynamic with Aaron Rodgers now because of who Aaron Rodgers is. Like, there's no way we're benching Aaron Rodgers. Not after this, but I would like to see Mason for a couple more games. I would. Let Rodgers heal up. And if Mason's cooking for 3 or 4 in a row, maybe you make that decision. It gets a little weird, gets a little awkward. But Yeah, I can't say enough about the defense. Really can't. And the fact that they closed out the game too, emphatically, James Pierre with the pick at the end, I can't say enough. They did everything you want from an elite defense. I know I was complaining about turnovers and how much is this sustainable, this and that, especially after that Colts 6 turnover game and even going back to the Patriots 5 turnover game. Like, we got turnover. I'm not complaining about these turnovers because we actually played sound defense along with the turnovers. Really sound defense. That was the best coverage game that we had. And it's, again, against this Bengals, like, top 5 air attack with Flacco, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. We know that Joe Flacco's not Joe Burrow, but you see what Flacco's been doing since he's become Cincinnati quarterback. He's been lighting it up. The stats are out there. The yards that they're putting up are out there. The points per game are out there. And then we just did that. We did that. It was impressive. Really was. The effort was there. The tackling, yeah, maybe there was a player or two that, man, we should have made that tackle. But that's football. For the most part, I would say 95% of the time, effort was there. Physicality was there. The Steelers, blue collar, just tough as nails approach was all there. And that's what you want to see when you're watching Steeler football. I was impressed. Kyle Duggar's been a godsend at safety. Jalen Ramsey at safety's been amazing. I think he should make All-Pro, Pro Bowl as a safety right now, or if you just want to throw him in as a DB, versatile DB, whatever it is, because he played, the first 6-7 games as a cornerback primarily. He's been unreal. Like, this cornerback combination, and credit to Pierre. Holy hell. Pierre's looking like a legitimate outside corner right now that we could trust. It's taken a little bit. We were hoping for that back in, 2021, like out of COVID. We watched that one highlight in the Browns game. It was like either a late regular season Browns game, or it was in the wild card lost Browns game where Pierre was covering someone, and the highlights of him like flipping his hips and making a really dope ass play, pass deflection, and everyone's like, "Oh, Pierre's next up. Like, watch out. Like, there's a reason the Steelers are giving him some minutes. They're going to give him an opportunity in the offseason to earn a job. Like, watch out for him." And he did make the roster, and, I was high on him. I was calling him Pierre Island and everything. Like, watch out for James Pierre. And he never really lived up. He's been a solid depth piece for us, solid special teams guy. But over these last couple games, he's been a legitimate outside corner. JPJ was good too. This is his second positive game in a row, stacking up some really good performances. Patrick Queen played good. Malik Harrison out there, 50. Definitely helped in the run stopping. Definitely helped with the physicality, the defensive line as a whole. Herbig, he's doing his thing. He's having a career year. TJ Watt played good. It's still one of those things with TJ. It's like, his play worth $40 million, but he's still playing really good. Like, TJ, he had a pass deflection or two. Was part of the reason why Joe Flacco was going up against like a chaotic environment, and the pass rush was getting there, and it was tough for him. The pressure was getting to Joe Flacco. TJ Watt was a part of that reason. Like, good game from him. I like what I'm seeing. I like what I saw today. I like what I saw. Let me read some of these comments. I have some other things I want to get to, because mentioning Jalen Ramsey, obviously the spat between him and Jamar Chase led to Jalen Ramsey getting booted. So we'll talk about that a little bit after the comments, or reading your guys' comments. And then I just got some other random notes I'll maybe hit on at the end. But hell of a game, dude. Hell of a game. Let me go over these paid comments first. Shout out to everyone for the support. Really appreciate it. Justin Gall. Mason showed us that Arthur's scheme does work. Lots of screens, play action, and a very strong running game. Was this the O-line's best performance? Yeah. In the second half, I thought they were a little shaky in the first half. They weren't god-awful. But as a whole, the offense didn't play like that well. The defense was carrying in the first half. Mason played good, bro. Like, in that game, would anyone debate Mason Rudolph played better than Aaron Rodgers? Just in that game, because that's all we can go off of. We're not going to compare Mason's half versus Rodgers' whole season. But that's why I wouldn't mind seeing Mason get a little bit more of a sample size. Give him a couple more games, 2 or 3 games. Actually, yeah. Do we dust it off a little bit? Do we dust off the Mason jersey, the iconic Mason jersey? Because we know the tags are popped off. If you know, you know. If you remember, we know the tags are popped off this jersey from that 2023 Bengals game. Yeah, got it chilling in the archives right now, but I don't know. Is it time to break it out? This week's going to be interesting. Not only this week, but the consequential weeks if Mason actually does get to play in place of Aaron Rodgers with him being hurt. Justin Gall defense played their 3 best games back to back to back. I love these guys. They're coming for you. Is that true? Yes, I actually think they played better against the Chargers, even though they fatigued out in the second half. What was the game before that? What am I missing? Hold on. I got the Steelers page up on ESPN right now. Colts, yeah, okay. Yes, I'll agree with you on that. Colts 6 turnover game. Chargers, I thought just played overall better defense. We didn't get any turnovers, but the offense let us down there for sure. Did we get lucky from a drop or 2 by the Chargers receivers and their kicker missing a field goal? Sure. But overall, I did like what our defense was doing in that game. Better than what we were doing the majority of the season. Felt like we were taking a step in the right direction in that department. And then, no doubt about it, today's game, that was the best defensive performance we put out there, man. Made it chaotic for Joe Flacco. Had to get the ball out quick. And we were good at tackling. We put them in 3rd and long scenarios. For the most part, we did good stopping the run. There really was only one Chase Brown big-time run. I think he went for like 30 or 40 yards, and that was early in the second half. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, shit, are we doing the same thing here with letting Chase Brown get these big chunk yards like we did in Thursday Night Football? And we saw how that started to change the dynamic of the game whenever Chase Brown was cooking. Made the Bengals a little bit less one-dimensional. Justin Gall, the play calling on that last drive really makes you wonder about the quarterback situation. Normally, Tomlin goes conservative, run 5 minutes off the clock and kick a field goal. Did he start a controversy? If he did, I think that's a good thing. If he did, we want the best out there. We want our offense running at the highest capacity we can. We're 6-4. Leader in the clubhouse in the division. Like, man, let's not act like we're not in a decent spot at this point in the season. You know what I mean? Just from like a standing standpoint compared to the rest of the AFC. Like we're technically there. Mathematically, we're right there. And if we play like what we did tonight, or not tonight, today, yeah, then we can talk about how we can compete with any team. Because that's how you play football right there. That's 100% how you play football. Good complementary style with the offense, defense. Offense was explosive enough, particularly in the second half. Set the tone. Defense, turnovers, sound defense, and the edge. And we'll talk about this a little bit with the Jalen Ramsey, Jamar Chase stuff. Like, I like that, man. Like, I like some of the beef, man. This is AFC North. This is what it was like with like James Harrison, Joey Porter. There was some of that stuff. Joey Porter, Ray Lewis, Joey Porter with like Chad Ochocinco, the Bengals, Hushman's like this is what it was about. And I feel like the Steelers team of the 2020s has been lacking that at times. We have. Today it felt like that was back with Jalen Ramsey, Jamar Chase, some of the big hits, the physicality. Good to see. Glenn Taylor, did the Bengals D get way worse, or was Mason frying Piedmont, Washington? No, because that's the weird thing. When we're talking about the Steelers in the first half in our offense versus that Bengals defense, I was thinking to myself, why are we letting the Bengals defense look this good? Like, what happened? Is the Bengals defense actually good now? But if you look at their last couple games, just like how I talked about the Bengals offense, how it seems like the Bengals offense is legit. Like, they're top 5, top 10 offense with Joe Flacco, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown. Like, they could put up numbers. But we also saw with the Bengals defense that over the last few games, over the course of the whole season, they are consistently bad. But we were making them look good in the first half. So that's the weird part. We make the quarterback switch, and then all of a sudden the Bengals defense looks bad again. Looks normal. Huh. Coincidence? I'm posing the question out there, man. Pete, the Penguins ghost says Pierre Island, Deke knows ball. Yeah, I was ahead of the curve. Thank you for acknowledging. I was ahead of the curve. Just maybe took him a little bit to develop. That's all. Fully. I mean, it's still only 2 games in 2025. 2 games where he has this increased role and he's being relied upon the way that he is. But good signs thus far because he went up against a good Chargers offense, good Chargers receivers last week, held his own. And then we know what the Bengals got on offense with Chase and Higgins. Pete the Penguins ghost. In all fairness, DK didn't need to throw the shoulder on the pick play. Just get in the way. I think I'm forgetting this one. I don't know which one you're talking about. The one that I remember with DK is the Mason to DK sideline pass, and he got called for the shove, which I thought was ticky-tacky. That call, I thought the refs were I think we benefited from some ref calls, even though in a way the refs were warranted for throwing flags against the Bengals. It was in the end of the first half where we were actually sustaining some drives. A large portion of it was due to the Bengals penalties. And I'm like, we're kind of getting blessed on this drive. We're able to move the ball because of these penalties. It's not so much that we're doing so good. But all the flags were warranted. Like, they went low on Rodgers. The one dude hit his helmet. There was maybe 1 or 2 that we got blessed on that maybe it was ticky-tacky. But I do think they had a couple shitty calls on us, and the DK one was terrible. That push off barely touched him. That was something you typically don't call, I feel like. And then especially for a star receiver, we know AB, we witnessed him do way worse in terms of push off. And then the TJ Watt roughing the passer was god awful. That was so bad, bro. So bad. I think was that the series we only let them get a field goal because Bengals scored a touchdown first drive, and that was it. Like, we held them to field goals after that. Really good job with the defense. And even I was seeing on that first drive, people were complaining about Jack Sawyer and the fact that we had him on T. Higgins, and we're, obviously complaining about defensive scheme, defensive game planning. Whenever you look at the optics of that play, Jack Sawyer was closest to T. Higgins on the touchdown. But if you actually watched it, like, Jack Sawyer wasn't zone. He was just matching the coverage. It was like a drag route for Higgins, and then he turned it up the field. Sawyer just went to the open guy, and Flacco had way too much time, and obviously that's a mismatch. So I didn't think that was that egregious of a play as people are making it out to seem like, oh, man, we lined up Jack Sawyer against Higgins. No, it was just how the play developed. Higgins was on the other side of the field, runs the drag route, turns it up. Flacco has time. Is what it is, man. Is what it is. Just sucked that, we scored right off the bat and then they matched us. Yeah, they didn't get the that's another thing with the defense. Yeah, we stood up on that 2-point conversion. We were leading the whole game, actually. It was by 1 point. Never felt like we were up a drastic amount. We were up 1 point whole game. So that was nice because of that stop. All right, what else we got in the chat? Thank you for I guess, the paid comments. We'll just say the paid comments. The Deke Blooms, as some of you guys have called them in the past. The Deke dollars. Hold on. I think I got to change my mic out. My computer's dying. I was an idiot. During the game, I didn't charge my laptop. I literally had my laptop sitting in front of me. I'm writing some notes throughout the course of the game, and I don't have it charging, and I'm literally sitting next to a freaking outlet. So I'm an idiot. But I got my charger up here. I'm just going to have to unplug this. You shouldn't notice too much of a difference. I think I'm good now. All right, let me charge. One sec. That's not what I wanted to do. My bad. I just turned off the light. All right, appreciate you guys' patience. We back. Good on the sound. Good on the sound. I think we're back. Yeah, I could see it. I could see what you're saying. I'm not gonna lie. Compared to Mason and what he was doing in the pocket versus Rodgers, it just looks like Rodgers hits him. It's like, and that's the problem. It's like, is that Rodgers doing his normal throws? Because Rodgers has always done like the little like feet slide kind of fade thing. He's always done that throughout the course of his career. So I'm like, is that just Rodgers being Rodgers? And obviously our offensive line isn't blocking for him, so it's just not the best optics. Maybe he is, or it's looking like he's trying to get the ball out too quickly. He's 41. If we had a younger quarterback, are they hanging in there? Or is it just Rodgers being smart? But I don't know, man. Yeah. I really wouldn't mind seeing Mason for a couple more weeks. What do we got to lose, man? It's just like one of those things. I think our offense has, even though it's been above the line, we've still left some stuff out there as an offense this season and the potential. We get Mason in there for a half and we start to see it. And like, I just feel like if we get Mason for a couple games, I don't think we're going to be worse than what we've seen. And this is what I was talking about whenever we signed Mason and the Rodgers pickup was still up in the air. We're waiting on him. I'm just still thinking to myself, if Rodgers signs here or not, I still think we're going to be a solid team. I think Mason's going to do well for us. I don't know if it's going to be this complete drastic difference between Rodgers as a starter versus Mason. I did say that. I think we could look back on some takes. I was bringing that up. Now, I think there just is something to having Aaron Rodgers. That is Aaron Rodgers. There's things that he brings to the table that Mason just hasn't proven yet. But what if this is Mason's time? What if this is his peak? What if he has one of those second stints, those second type of runs we're seeing from a bunch of other quarterbacks around the league, where it just starts to click for them when they get in their late 20s, early 30s, and the talent's still there because quarterbacks are protected so much more in the modern day, and they're able to play into, their early to mid 30s at a really solid level. What if that could be a Mason type of thing? What if? And I'm not just specifically talking about that for Mason this year, but even for 2026. If Rodgers does retire, why not a Mason, Will Howard plus rookie quarterback competition? I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. Donovan LaRue, Ramsey got spit on. Chase better get a fine. Yeah, so let's just talk about it. Thanks for bringing it up. So initially, the first time they threw the warning with Ramsey and Chase, that's what I was hinting at earlier. I was like, I like this energy. I like this. Like this is AFC North ball. Ramsey playing with that edge. He's going at it with the other team's top player on offense, Jamar Chase. Like, okay, I like this. I do. And then they give the warning. And then the next play, or was it even the next? Did we even make it to the next play? I can't even remember. It was low key a critical point in the game. It was 4th and 1, Bengals driving, and we got a stop. We got the big stop on 3rd down, and they had to let the play clock run out whenever they're chilling there 4th and 1. Patrick Queen, our players are pumping up the crowd. It was going wild. Energy was there. And then that's when the whole scuffle and stuff happened. Jamar Chase, Jalen Ramsey. And again, whenever they first threw the warning, you see them going at it a little bit. I'm like, all right, this is cool. I'm good with this. All it is a warning. Just don't do anything stupid next play or, the next sequence. And then all of a sudden, Jalen Ramsey gets tossed for throwing. It wasn't even a punch. That's the thing. For what Jalen Ramsey did, even without knowing if Jamar Chase spit on him, I was like, the league's kind of soft for tossing a dude for doing that. I get it. You gave him the warning, but for him just grabbing the face mask and kind of like shoving it wasn't a punch. It wasn't. League has gotten soft with that shit. He wouldn't have been getting tossed back in my era. of football in the 2000s. So that's that. Now, he gave the warning. He gave the warning. This is 2025. The league is so you got to know that. But the fact that he got spit on, then it's like, Jamar Chase should have been the one getting booted, clearly. But the refs missed that, and it ends up going to the guy that makes the, I guess, the more emphatic movement, and that's what Jalen Ramsey did with the grabbing of the face mask and all that. That's who the refs catch. Usually it is like the second guy. So that was tough. I don't blame Ramsey, but dude, we need him out there. Now, fortunately, the defense picked it up without him, and we got some of those turnovers, and it got electric in that fourth quarter. But there was still a lot of time left in that fourth quarter, and Jalen Ramsey shouldn't even be playing safety to the degree that he is right now. It's just more out of necessity with some of these injuries. But obviously, he's playing it at a really high level. So, we don't have much depth after you. You're clearly, you and Duggar are the best safety comp. We need you out there. We need you out there, bro. Fourth quarter, still a 2-score game. Critical moment, the 4th and 1, Bengals driving. And they did get it within 1 score with that field goal. But then we responded. Did we respond with the pick six right after that? I can't remember exactly when the Duggar pick six was. It might have been right after that, honestly. Or close to. Yeah, Duggar pick six, James Pierre fumble 6, James Pierre pick at the end. Splash plays all around, not even the turnovers. Herbig with the sacks, him and TJ getting the pressure, the big tackles on the short throws that Flacco was making where he had to get the ball out quick. Even just making Flacco miss a lot, man. Making Flacco miss. He was missing bad because of the pressure that we were getting on him. Good all-around defense. But, yeah, I guess that's my take for the Jalen Ramsey, Jamar Chase incident. I mean, Chase obviously in the wrong for spitting. Like, that's just gross, disgusting, disrespectful. Like, that's bad. You know what I mean? Like, that goes back to the Jalen Carter thing. He got booted immediately. Week 1, opening night. That's what should happen with Jamar Chase. Like, that's way worse than anything Jalen Ramsey did there. But, of course, Jalen Ramsey's the one that gets caught for the face mask thing and the shove. They call it a punch, but it wasn't. I feel like even if there wasn't the spit, like Ramsey getting tossed for that, the sequence of him and Chase going at it a little bit before and then him grabbing the face mask and shoving him a little bit, like that's whack. That's still whack in my opinion. That's like an example of how soft the league has gotten, but it is the state of the league right now. They do have almost a zero tolerance for some of this stuff. They really cracked down, and it's just you got to know. You got to know how refs are calling it and what flags are going to be thrown and the warnings and all that shit. But I think we definitely give Jalen Ramsey a pass for this one, considering the circumstances. Devin Benson, DK way overpaid, really missing Pickens. Yeah, I'd still like to have Pickens. I would. Yeah, and I think DK, you could argue, overpaid. DK played good today, though. I think DK played good. It would just be nice to have them both. And the fact that we did have them both and we didn't need to make the move of getting rid of Pickens, and we could have at least got a 1-year sample of how those two work together, just sucks, especially seeing with how good Pickens is doing with Cowboys and the fact that we are still talking about having another legitimate weapon on offense outside of DK Metcalf. And you're right. We complain about DK too, even though he is the number one and he gets all the attention. It's like, bro, you're still leaving stuff out there. I don't even know if you're better than Pickens. You're dropping balls. Doesn't seem like you're getting the separation that we would like. You're not as reliable as we were hoping for. So yeah, what do you do with that? It just does seem like he's overpaid right now. He's still quality. Still quality. Probably gonna have 1,000 yards this year. He's gonna do his typical DK season. That's what it's looking. That's what he's on pace for. 900, 1,000 yards. Probably 7-8 touchdowns. Pete the Penguins goes. Jalen said, "What did the 5 fingers say to the face?" Yeah. What else do I got here in terms of notes? Extra thoughts. Caleb Johnson, like what he did in place of Jaylen Warren. Hopefully Jaylen Warren gets healthy sooner rather than later because We see what he does when he gets the ball. I know Kenneth Gainwell had a pretty decent game, but there's just an extra level to what Jaylen Warren provides that Kenneth Gainwell just doesn't have. I think Jaylen Warren is the more talented player, the more explosive player, has more pop in his game. It just is what it is. Every time we get Jaylen Warren the ball, good things happen, flat out. You saw that in the first half. So sucks that he's out. Kenneth Gainwell picked up the slack, but also Caleb Johnson. We were getting some nice runs with him. Reliable with ball security. Although he had the face mask with that. The outside run was nice. That stretch to the outside. Stiff arm, unfortunately. While he was stiff arming the dude, he was grabbing his face mask. You can't do that, and that set us behind a little bit, but didn't cost us. Didn't cost us the game. Didn't kill us the game. What would have killed us for the game or made things interesting is if Caleb Johnson would have fumbled the ball and given the Bengals some momentum. So thank God he didn't do that. But he was actually finding some lanes, falling forward, getting positive yardage. His yards per carry, I think it was probably above 4, just off the top of my head. Let me look at the box score here. Yeah, Kenneth Gainwell had like over 100 yards. It was like only 20 on the ground, a lot in the passing game. See, Jaylen Warren, 10 carries, 62 yards, 6.2 average. If he would have been out there the whole game, it probably would have been 100-plus yard performance on the ground for him. Kenneth Gainwell, only 9 carries, 24 yards, but he did his damage receiving game. 2 touchdowns, 81 yards, 7 receptions. Caleb Johnson, okay, yeah, a little bit off on the YPC for Caleb Johnson. 5 carries, 15 yards, 3 yards a carry. It was that stretch run that I'm probably adding into the equation and thinking that was going to count for his final stat line. Because if you throw that in there, that was probably an extra 10 or 11 yards. That'd be 6 carries for, 25, 26. So that would have been over 4. But it got called back. Penalty, face mask is what it is. Wrote this down, too. I just don't know what to make of this fucking league, man. I'm seeing the scores, the box scores and shit. Or I guess not the box scores. The scores in the mini box up on the broadcast, top left corner. And Chargers get absolutely housed by the Jaguars. Absolutely housed. We're talking about that loss to the Chargers last week of being this huge indictment on the Steelers and where we're at and how we can't compete against a legit good team like the Chargers. You know, we fall flat whenever we have momentum. We have all these letdown games, and then whenever it's really time to shine, show that we can compete with the top 4 or 5 teams, we just don't even look confident. We don't even look like we belong. And this Sunday night football game against the Chargers, another example of that. And then we see the Chargers looking confident against the Jaguars. And I don't even think the Jaguars are that good. Like, what? I don't know what to make of this, man. Don't know what to make of this league. Maybe the secret to happiness is to just take it a week at a time. We're 6-4, winning the AFC North right now, coming off of probably our best game as a total team. I'll take it. Why not us? We're back to the why not us mentality. Because damn, if we play like that, we can compete. That's a fucking good football performance right there by the Steelers. That's top-notch defense. That's elite defense right there. That's a damn good offense right there. Can we do it again next week? Bears on the road. Can we do it again the week after that? At least some in some form or fashion, right? And not go back to being bottom of the league from a defensive standpoint, and not going back to being ultra conservative on offense and a ton of 3 and outs. Because we know week in and week out, this was a perfect storm type of game. This was, everything was going right for us. But it was because of how we played, too. It's like sometimes luck goes to those that are well prepared, those that are just doing things the right way. And, yeah, you get lucky, and then it just that snowball effect, domino effect, and you have a blowout like that. Saying Mason got lucky he's not the starter. I'm just saying, look at the last, 4 or 5 games of Mason in a Steeler uniform. Now, I do think him coming in at halftime as the backup does throw a new wrinkle into it and may give him some extra benefit versus a defense that isn't really prepared for him, right? I think there's something to be said for that, but at the same time, our offense really didn't change. It didn't. Just look, Mason in a Steeler uniform, last 4 or 5 games. I don't know if that's complete luck. I know he wasn't taking the world by storm with the Titans last year, but look at the Titans right now. Look at what Mason had to deal with the Titans. I think you could argue his body of work with the Titans last year was actually somewhat of a positive. I know he didn't have the best record, but look what he had to work with. He was actually moving the ball, making them somewhat of a competent offense compared to Will Levis. And then you see what Cam Ward, number 1 overall pick, is able to do. Nothing. Mason, as a Tennessee Titan, has done better than a second-round draft pick, quoted a super talented guy in Will Levis, and then also the number 1 overall pick in Cam Ward. He has done better as a Tennessee Titan than both those guys over the last 2 seasons. Something to be said for that. And then you look at what he's did in a Steeler uniform last 4 or 5 games as a starter and as a guy that came in the middle of the game. Really good. Like, just flat out right, really good. I'm not trying to oversell his 2023 end of season, but I mean, he was playing quarterback as good as anyone in the league at that point, it felt like. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at with Ramsey. He said, Milk says Ramsey reminds him of a 70s Steeler. 70s Steeler, or even you could, because we know, even though those 80s and 90s teams didn't reach the pinnacle, didn't win Super Bowls, we know those dudes were badasses, like Greg Lloyd, Kevin Green. Who was like that for us in the 80s? Maybe the 80s was like a weird dull period for us because that was when Chuck Noll was on a downward trend. Who was like that dog on defense in the 80s like that? You guys are probably gonna bring up a name, and I'm just gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm an idiot for not noticing. But like, even though I feel like the Steelers from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, early 2010s, like that's all in the same vein of physicality, blue collar, work ethic, tough as nails, that type of shit. And Ramsey, dude, he's brought that to the table this year. Not only on the field, being willing to do whatever it takes, and then you see the tackling, you see the extra effort, all that shit. Has he been perfect? No, he's let up some plays in coverage at times. He hasn't been perfect. I think he is having a Pro Bowl, All-Pro type of season, though, with his play at safety, with his play at cornerback for a good portion of the games. He's been awesome. But it's not only just that, it's also the leadership and the stuff that you're hearing from some of the players that Ramsey's offering in the locker room and the speeches he's given and how he's just taking that extra level of leadership seriously. And he doesn't have to. That's the thing with his career and how he's kind of been a mercenary, jumping around team to team. Like, he's got it all, man. Like, he's already got the ring. He's got the Hall of Fame career. Like, he doesn't have to do that extra shit. But he is. Shows that he cares. And you appreciate that. So I agree with this comment. Carnell Lake. Chad Scott. Come on, bro. Wasn't he? He's more 90s anyway. Kendrell Bell, that's 90s. That's 90s, early 2000. Chad Brown, is that 80s? I thought he was 90s too. I think Carnell Lake's 80s. Or 90s, I'm sorry. Was he late 80s, into the 90s? I think Rod Woodson was 80s, right? Like late 80s, and then obviously he peaked in the 90s. Levon Kirkland, I'm seeing. That's 90s too. I can't think of it. I mean, in some of the 80s, the early to mid 80s, you still had some of the dudes from the 70s teams. So there's that. They just weren't as good at that point. All right, man. I don't know if I got anything else. Hell of a game. Hell of a game. Anything I'm missing? Brandon Eccles, bounce back game. Let's give him a shout out. Brandon Eccles, bounce back game for sure. The forced fumble, Wasn't getting cooked in coverage like that. This was the best secondary combination I've seen from this team. And it was against a quality offense. Quality sparring partner. I feel like that's something Tomlin would say. Sparring partner. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Flacco, Chase Brown. We know Yoshivas ain't a bad third receiver. Noah Fant. It's a good offense. And with the Jalen Ramsey, Duggar move to safety. Well, Jalen Ramsey moved to safety, putting Duggar at safety or trading for him and having those two be our starters, along with JPJ, now Pierre, Brandon Eccles. That's the best I've seen thus far. I know we got Asante Samuel Jr., but I'm not in a rush to call him up if we're playing like that. Still nice to have him. Still a big pickup. Still a big signing. That was just good flat-out right ball by our corners and safeties. I already mentioned Malik Harrison. Yeah. I think that's it. I think that is it. Even with Mason playing like he did, I still think we could have used an extra receiver at the trade deadline. Extra weapon on offense. Still think we do too much tight end stuff. Wouldn't mind, and you see him with Jaylen Warren getting hurt. Wouldn't have minded trading for a Breece Hall or an extra running back just to have in the back pocket. But all right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Victory Monday tomorrow. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot to talk about early in this week with Rodgers, injury status, Mason playing the way that he did, the defense playing as good as they did. So, yeah, going to be a fun week for sure. Bears on the road coming up. It's going to be a good game. Typically don't play well in Chicago. I feel like over the last 20 years, whenever we've gone out to Chicago, we've had weird games. And Chicago's playing pretty decent this year. Caleb Williams. Did they win? Yeah, they won today too. 19-17. So they're like, don't they have 7 wins? Yeah, they're 7-3. 7-3. So all right. Rodgers has a broken. Okay, we got an update. Rodgers has a broken wrist bone. Is that accurate? Maybe I should look this up myself. Because there's a lot of times I'll just read your guys' comments and think you're the doctors reporting this, and then it's completely something else. No offense, Powerball winner, but I could see it. Yeah, I mean, he didn't go back out there. Like that's you would have to think something broken, and that's I don't know. Yeah, can you play with that if it's on his throwing hand? How's that got to be cast? I would assume you're out 4 to 6 weeks with that. You're saying right thumb. See, going back to what I said at the beginning, there was mixed reports. They said left wrist on the broadcast. I see Jerry Dulac tweet saying something about his throwing arm, throwing elbow. Now you're saying it's his right thumb. Well, yeah, that happened. The right thumb thing, didn't that happen with Frazier in warmups? They showed that on the Sunday Night Football broadcast. Left hand can't go under center. Good point. Yes, that'll put the offense at a disadvantage. So we might be seeing Mason for the next couple weeks. What do they say? Careful what you wish for. But hey, that's my energy right now. That's my take. It's like, you know what? Rodgers, heal up. Let's see what Mason can do with this offense now. Because it felt like we were hitting our stride in a way with him being out there that we haven't really seen this season to the fullest extent. Now, you know what? Let's not discredit some moments we've had on offense because Rodgers had the 4-touchdown game. He had multiple 4-touchdown games, and the defense really let us down in those spots. Again, our offense has been in totality above the line with Rodgers at quarterback, but we are seeing just some stuff where it feels like we're leaving some plays out there, leaving some potential and ceiling out there. And maybe part of it is due to Rodgers and his older age, wanting to get the ball out a little bit quicker, not being as spry with the mobility. So I'll leave you guys with that. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments of this potential quarterback controversy, I guess. If there's anything I missed on this post-game report, drop that in the comments. Oh man, we got another paid comment. We got a shout out here. Shout out to Milk. Thank you for that. Good stream, Deke. Okay, yeah, that's all you're saying then. Thank you. I guess I'm gonna read between the lines there on that comment and say you think that I hit the nail on everything, or at least I covered everything that need to be covered at this point. Okay. Like I said, enjoy the rest of your guys' Sunday. Enjoy this victory. I'm sorry for saying it at the beginning. I'm sorry. It just feels like we're kind of back. Feels like we're back. If this energy can keep going. But that's the problem with these Steeler teams recently is who knows what the hell we're getting next week. But that what we saw today, we get that next week. I like our chances. We get that the week after that in some form or fashion. Again, maybe not to the fullest extent today because a lot of things went right. I think we were just on it. The energy was there. Yeah, everything was going right. Everything was going right. Just played good. We were in the zone. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. As the team as a whole was in the zone, particularly in that second half. And not every game you're going to be in the complete zone. And when I think of being in the zone, that's like Big Ben when he had the 6 touchdown passes back to back week. You're feeling it, bro. You're just feeling it. You got it that day. We had it that day. Can we at least keep the majority of that up, though, going forward? 80, 90% of what took place today. Can we keep that sort of trajectory for the rest of the season? But all right. Stay chilling. Peace. Here we go, Steelers.